And at 10, the puppet. I think I might have said this phrase more than any other saying in this goddamn world, but the puppet creeps me the hell out. Any form of the puppet is creepy as well. Like, I don't even have a fear of dolls, which I believe is called pediophobia. Either way, the puppet is one of the creepiest, creepy-ass characters that I know of. And honestly, after seeing how it walks in FNAF VR, I don't want to see it running around the Pizzaplex, because that's some horrifically terrifying that I don't want to deal with. Not only that, but the puppet is supposed to be dealt with after FNAF 6. And if this game does take place after FNAF 6, like the appearance of Helpy in the first trailer suggests, the puppet has no business being in this game. So if it does show up, there are going to be some real issues with not only the timeline placement, but also like the lore, because I wouldn't understand what's going on at that point. I know that there's like those like little like nightmare puppet things, but like those are more like mini arenas, so... And at 9, the Stitch Wraith. Now don't get me wrong, a Stitch Wraith appearance would be insane and would give us a canon version of the character. Well, a canon kind of like appearance. However, the amount of crap that this would mess up is beyond comprehension. The sheer lore implications this one thing would reveal just sends shivers down my spine. That would confirm every Fazbear Frights book in the main canon of the game. And it would also confirm them mostly as written, which would screw up the whole it's a matter of interpretation thing that we currently got going on, saying that like, oh yeah, Andrew from the Man in Room 1280 is just representative of this. That, we couldn't say that anymore. Plus, I mean, from what we know of the story, it doesn't fit in properly whatsoever. This would be one of the weirdest ways to absolutely destroy the story of all the games. Like, the Stitch Wraith has no sway in the story that we currently know for Security Breach. Don't get me wrong, the narrative we've been told could be a total lie and a giant misdirect, but come on. Currently, if the Stitch Wraith shows up, I'm gonna be mad. And at 8, the OGs. The original animatronics are definitely some of the most iconic from the series, the most iconic being Toy Chica, obviously. However, the OGs appearing in Security Breach would be much like if the puppet had appeared. It, at this point, would have already been dealt with. The Happiest Day minigame set their souls free, and then their remnant was taken care of in FNAF 6's fire after Ennard as Molten Freddy got destroyed. At least if the games follow the novel story of the original animatronics remnant getting used in the Funtime animatronics. But even if they didn't, their souls were released in the Happiest Day minigame. That was the whole point of that minigame. So if the original animatronics show up, I'm going to be very confused. This whole timeline is very messy to begin with, so like we can use this as a way to sort everything out going forward. Like how I've been saying with the other two, these would just throw a wrench into everything that we've come to understand. And while this is par for the course for FNAF, I don't want to deal with it. And at 7, Bonnie. Now I'm calling out Bonnie specifically because honestly having any form of Bonnie animatronic in this game would be kind of pointless at this point. Bonnie has been largely removed from the game for currently unknown reasons, however introducing a glam rock Bonnie or something would kinda come out of nowhere and it's not really worth it. Bonnie sure is a fun animatronic, but the lack of a Bonnie animatronic could be serving as a way to demonstrate that Scott is moving on from the series after this game, since we all know that he believes Bonnie is the scariest given that he had nightmares about the character while playtesting FNAF 1. So Bonnie not being included is kind of symbolic in a way, and I'm sure it didn't start off this way unless Scott had been planning his retirement for a while, but to include a Bonnie now would probably cheapen the game, especially because it's not really that big of a reveal. It's not going to be like Cap holding Mjolnir or if there are really 3 Spider-Men in No Way Home, so it would just kind of be annoying for me. And at 6, Springlock Suits. With this game seemingly being as far away from the first FNAF game as can be, it's been ages since Fredbear's Family Diner, so the Springlock Suits which would appear at this location would be an absolutely horrible idea to include in this game. The timeline placement is already finicky enough, but including animatronics that would have been decommissioned for decades would definitely confuse everyone. Especially me, because I'm one for choosing the most complicated and unlikely scenario and then believing it so much that I dedicate a whole theory video to it and then everyone gets mad at me in the comments. But if we see the Springlock Suits that were both destroyed for, well, kinda obvious reasons, I think it would be safe to say that it's a bad idea to have them make an appearance, unless it's like in a form of like an Easter egg in a museum display or something similar. Halfway through into number 5, Vanny. Now I know that currently all we know about Vanny is that she's being controlled by Glitch Trap and that she's supposedly supposed to be the security guard Vanessa as well, but there were so many people accusing Vanny of being a robot in the early days of the trailers. Now don't get me wrong, but if that happens I'm going to jump off a building and everyone has to watch. Turning Vanny into an animatronic would probably take away from the story of this game so much, and honestly that would just make another game with Afton as the villain, which I'm sure plenty of people are fine with, but I think we all know that I'm firmly against Afton being brought back yet again. Since if we're moving forward, I don't want to have to deal with more Afton. He's like the link to the confusing and mind-numbing timeline, and honestly, it just makes me dizzy to think about it. He's like the ex that won't let go. He just like, let us move on, please, Afton. Stop calling me. And at 4, Scrap Animatronics. The Scrap Animatronics are some of the most recent additions to the FNAF roster, being included in FNAF 6 and Scrap Baby being featured as a plushie in FNAF VR. The Scrap Animatronics were simply to allow for the story of the original group of victims to wrap up so we could move on with what comes next. So reintroducing them, aside from maybe an Easter egg, would be a huge conflict, especially with, again, the timeline, since this was supposed to take place after FNAF VR and AR, but FNAF AR's emails have the dates at which you actually receive them IRL, and FNAF VR is supposed to be the company trying to rebuild its rep after years after the final FNAF 6 fire, at least 4 years from my estimate in the timeline breakdown video I did. But with the reintroduction of these characters, it would have to take place sometime, at least at the same time, if not earlier. But it also can't be too much earlier, since that would conflict with even more things. Do you see the issues I'm having here? Plus, they're terrifying and I don't want to deal with them again. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Nightmares. The Nightmare animatronics better not show up in this game. In addition to the whole timeline issue as well as the story issue, these animatronics specifically are supposed to be illusions, created in a child's head as his mind processes that he's in the hospital dying from being bit by Fredbear. The whole point of these animatronics is that they weren't real animatronics. Yet, if they end up appearing, like someone seemed to point out to me on Twitter, since the arm from the end of the very first trailer looks like Nightmare Freddy's arm, we're gonna be in for a treat. And by treat, I mean me freaking out and going absolutely bananas, because that would be the icing on top of the crap cake, from my perspective, honestly. Plus, like I said, this would cause a whole kerfuffle, and it would mean that Afton is probably gonna come back. If they can find a reason to make imaginary animatronics real, and it's not just like in like a video game in universe or in William's mind, they would find a reason to bring William back yet again. And there would be nothing I could do about it. It would drive me insane. But ultimately, in at number 2, Springer Scrap Trap. I know I already mentioned the spring-lock suits and Scrap Animatronics before, but I just wanted to reiterate that I don't want to see William in this game. Unless it is in the form of Glitch Trap, because that would be unavoidable if this is really the story. But Spring Trap or Scrap Trap aren't good ideas, since again they should have been destroyed and William now exists as sentient code. So any physical manifestations of the character would have to be illusions if we get possessed or some hallucination. Although I don't know how Gregory would know what either version looked like, considering how, you know, he's a kid. But like, I don't know, maybe that's why Special Delivery includes Scrap Trap though, because that's the way that Gregory could understand what he looks like and able to actually hallucinate him if we do end up getting possessed by William and then he starts driving us crazy. Damn, now I like the way that this is going. Hallucinations aside, an actual real version of this character it would make me mad, okay? It's a pretty simple request. This isn't No Way Home. We don't need a multiverse and like time travel from like different aspects of the FNAF universe, okay? We don't need it. No matter how excited I am for No Way Home, we don't need it in FNAF. And finally, in number 1, Music Man Spider. Music Man was already a pretty creepy dude, okay? He feels like that uncle that's always standing around at like family reunions when those were legal, and he's just chilling out in the corner, drinking. Yeah, Music Man just chills behind you in Ultimate Custom Night, and then just like the old neighbors, he tells you to keep the racket down, resulting in a jump scare if you make or cause too much noise. However, here comes FNAF 9 with some goddamn arachnophobia, fear hallucination or something like that, because Music Man now has 6 legs and is absolutely gigantic. Yeah, this got real interesting real fast, and editor, I'm sorry that I'm swearing, but this makes me mad. Considering how I'm arachnophobic, I really hate this guy. But those who are arachnophobic and robophobic are going to find these sections of the game absolutely unplayable. So have fun with that. At least I'm not scared of robots, I'm scared of spiders. And I mean, like, I feel like I should be scared of spider robots, but they're not actual spiders. So I mean, like, apples and oranges. And while yes, this guy is actually in Security Breach and like he's being created for Security Breach, I put him on this list because I don't want to see him in the game. This will cause me to breach the security of my pants. And at 10, Aeronaut Toy Freddy. Aeronaut Toy Freddy is a skin for Toy Freddy with a steampunk pilot and engineer theme. He is Toy Freddy's third skin and the second skin added in the Screampunk event. He was released on July 1st. Aeronaut Toy Freddy is a much darker shade of brown than his original counterpart, with a lighter colored snout and mouth. His hat is now much larger and features various scrap metal and gears. He wears large gear and magnifying glass based goggles. He also wears a large leather trench coat, leather pants, a leather boot, and a clock based bow tie, which is weird. His chest cavity is broken up to show multiple golden gears, and he wears a golden pilot badge. He has a large bag strapped around his shoulder, and he has a steampunk arm cannon on his left forearm. His left hand and right foot are also encased with golden metal, which is pretty sick. Finally, he wields a large metal wrench. However, while interesting, it isn't the scariest skin. I just don't want him to get anywhere close to me with that wrench, because we all know how that's gonna end. And at 9, Flamethrower Bear Endo. Flamethrower Bear Endo was a new summer-themed animatronic added on July 23rd, 2020 from FNAF AR's event known as the Sizzling Summer Event. Flamethrower Bear Endo is an orange endoskeleton with a large red welding mask and 2 large gas canisters on his back. The canisters are also hooked up to a flamethrower attached to his arm. And while not the most intimidating character looks-wise, the fact that this character straight up has a flamethrower makes him probably the most dangerous one out of the bunch. Some of these sure have their advantages as well, but some are only good in the water or something similar. This dude will burn your house down for fun and then regret nothing. Mostly because robots don't have emotions. But still, there's something to be scared of. This guy was built to burn down, and I don't think that he's gonna be waiting for your approval before going berserk. I don't know, maybe he's a sweet guy after all. Maybe I can change him. And at 8, Broiler Baby. Broiler Baby is the first skin for Circus Baby in Special Delivery and the second skin for the Sizzling Summer event, added after Flamethrower Bear Endo. Broiler Baby for the most part looks exactly like Circus Baby, except the fact that she is covered in soot and has red eyes instead of green. She also features a large boiler on her stomach, and instead of a microphone she holds a coal shovel. The inside of her mask also seems to be lit up by fire. The red eyes are not only meant to indicate fire and heat, but also I'm sure to let us know that this version of Baby is not possessed by Elizabeth Afton, since Baby's eyes were originally blue and then changed to green when she got possessed. And not only does the inside of her head look like she was on fire, but her endoskeleton also appears to be red hot, similar to Flamethrower Endo. The coal shovel looks like a feather in the screenshot orientation, at least from what I saw, but all of this begs the question, why? Where did this come from, and how did this happen? And at 7, Melted Chocolate Bunny. Melted Chocolate Bunny is a melted variant of Chocolate Bunny, obviously, released on April 1st, 2021. He is the 4th skin for Bonnie and the first skin of 2021 to be released alone. Melted Chocolate Bunny looks near identical to Chocolate Bunny, except he's obviously melting. He has way more holes than the original Chocolate Bunny, some of which show more of his endoskeleton, and is now a slightly darker shade of brown. Finally, on his upper left arm, lower right arm, and left hand, various small sprinkles can be seen, kinda like those Little Debbie rainbow sprinkle brownies. It also took me forever to remember what the hell these were called. Even if it reminds me of a cherished childhood treat, this thing is still horrifying. It being melted gives it a more ruined appearance, like it just shouldn't exist, which just adds to the creep factor. It looks like a zombie, like a chocolate zombie, which isn't healthy because it wants you to eat it, but if you take a bite then you also become a chocolate zombie too. And at 6, Blackheart Bonnie. Blackheart Bonnie is a Valentine's Day themed skin for Bonnie released on February 4th, 2021. He is Bonnie's 3rd skin and was added during the Heartstoppers event on the same day as Heartsick Baby. Blackheart Bonnie looks nearly identical to Bonnie, however his entire body is now made up of black glass. His torso, upper left arm, right forearm, and both his legs are covered in scratches, cracks, and holes. His eyes are mostly black, but his irises glow a bright red. Finally, in his torso there is a pixelated heart that flickers and glows. This is the scarier of the 2 Valentine's Day skins, but oh my god, is this thing wicked sick. I love the color red, and that being combined with black just makes for a badass color palette. And while it does look incredibly sick, I'm still running away. Cause this dude got his heart broken and he's about to act out. This guy is gonna key your car as you're driving by on the highway. He's gonna open the back door of the van, lean out and key your car as you try to drive away. It's not okay. He will jump on a tractor trailer in order to catch up with you. He is insane and you need to stay away from him. You thought It Follows was bad? Blackheart Bonnie is worse. Halfway through in at number 5, Big Bad Foxy. Big Bad Foxy is Foxy's third skin and the second skin for the delayed Scary Tales event. He was leaked early on when his assets were found in the game's files though. Big Bad Foxy appears to look identical to Foxy, however is now slightly darker in color and covered in dark gray hair. His hair tufts have extended length and the left eye is now a large gaping hole shaped to look angry, while his right eye is now black with a red pupil. However, when used during encounters, he's instead replaced by my grandma, who wears a torn blue nightgown, a light blue nightcap, and large gold-rimmed glasses, which is weird because her glasses aren't normally that big. And that nightgown must have gone through the ringer. Like, Grandma, are you okay? That thing is tattered more than the old blanket you keep in the basement where you used to hide all the Christmas presents. What? Come closer. Are you sure, Grandma? Like, I mean, like, we're both vaccinated, but like, COVID's still a thing. Like, I don't want to put you at risk. What do you mean it's not a problem? Of course it is! In at 4, Jetpack Balloon Boy. Jetpack Balloon Boy is Balloon Boy's third skin and the third skin of the Scream Punk event. The skin was released on July 8th after being leaked by Lumix's community tab on YouTube over 12 hours early. But I mean, still better than Funko leaking the designs of the security breach animatronics, right? Jetpack Balloon Boy's body shape looks identical to that of Balloon Boy, but he now wears a brown leather coat with wool inside the hood, and a large pilot's hat decorated with various gears, bulbs, and other devices. He wears a pair of goggles with the right lens colored green and the left lens broken open to reveal a robotic yellow eye. His shoes and arms also appear to be made up of a bronze metal and covered in gears, and his sign now reads "Let's Fly," with letters being made out of scrap metal bolted onto the blank sign. His balloon is decorated to look like that of a hot air balloon with gears, jewels, and curtains covering it, although I haven't really seen many hot air balloons that look like that. And finally, as his name suggests, he wears a large jetpack on his back, which he will use to fly over your house and dive bomb it, because that's what steampunk stuff does, right? Blow things up? I mean, sounds like it would be fun. And at 3, Clockwork Ballora. Man, with Minecraft getting those copper blocks, steampunk seems to be all over the place. Clockwork Ballora is Ballora's second skin and the first skin of the Scream Punk event. Clockwork Ballora looks pretty much like normal Ballora, but is made entirely out of golden gears and plates, cause steampunk. Her crown and her shoulder pads have become large gears, and her lower legs, sections of her arms, and her pelvis are all colored in rust color, cause again, you know, steampunk. Her tutu is made up of a large gear rotating that also looks like it can play records, and her top is made up of another rust-colored bottom piece and a black-colored top piece with a rose pattern on it. Finally, the gold plates that make up her face, arms, and legs are welded into a Victorian-style set of patterns with some red-colored indents. But this time around, she comes with similarly styled mini-Rinas. The Clockwork mini-Rinas look like Clockwork Ballora, except their faces have blood stains and their eyes glow green, which is all the more menacing. Blood-stained faces. Love that. Penultimately in at number 2, Sunken Toy Bonnie. As the second skin of the Wicked Tides event that had started as we released the last part of this list, Sunken Toy Bonnie is Toy Bonnie's third skin. Sunken Toy Bonnie also looks basically identical to Toy Bonnie, but is made entirely out of brown and green barnacle covered wood. His stomach is colored with dull pinks, blues, and purples, and he appears to be made out of a more glossy shell-like texture. His bow tie is now made up of 2 purple scallops, and his cheeks have large lime-covered clams covering them. His ear has a large chip in it, and his tail has large vein-like strands of stone covering it. Finally, his eyes are a multicolored watery texture that looks somewhat like opal, or a very blurry coral reef. Basically, a Bonnie animatronic if they were a Scooby-Doo beach villain like the Ghost of Captain Cutler. Finally, in at number 1, Piranha Plush Trap. Piranha Plush Trap is Plush Trap's second skin in FNAF AR and the third skin in the Wicked Tides event. He released on June 7th after being delayed by 3 days for unknown reasons. We actually made a community post about this, and personally, this is one of the scariest FNAF AR skins ever added. Piranha Plush Trap is hardly like the original Plush Trap, except for like the face and being called Plush Trap. Now he's made of a more organic flesh-like material, even having realistic gums. His mouth is littered with long, thin, sharp teeth, and his eyes are extremely small and glow an ocean blue. On the sides of his head are 2 glowing orange gills, and his feet glow that same orange. His hands have orange webbing in between his fingers that also stretch out when his fingers move. Wonderful. His ears are covered with small barnacles, and his mouth, stomach, and right leg are covered in string-like algae.
that kind of resembles veins. Finally, his body is just covered in spikes and his torso is split open, revealing his ribs. This thing is actually horrifying, and despite how terrifying it is, I hope we get to see it in another game instead of just special delivery because, damn, it's scary, but it's freaking cool. 8 out of 10, Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is a bipedal rusty golden bear with lighter accents on his muzzle, ears, and stomach. He has black scleras representing a stareless entity. I probably said scleras wrong, but you know what, I don't really care. He has multicolored wiring popping out of his eye sockets, arms, ears, knee pads, feet, everywhere. It will poke out. It's like a liquid. Golden Freddy's muzzle also has supportive gaped teeth, including his lower jaw. His teeth also appear to be a grayish white, resembling rust, kind of. I mean, it's a weird kind of rust. I don't know why the wiki says that. He appears to be slumped over sitting down, and as most of his iterations are. But in Ultimate Custom Night, Golden Freddy will occasionally appear in the office after the player closes down the monitor. The player must pull up the monitor again quickly or use the Freddy mask to make him disappear. Staring at Golden Freddy for too long will end the night and he'll jump scare you. Although I think the reason this version is so scary is because you can't get rid of him with the death coin. Because if you try, you'll get jump scared by psychic friend Fredbear and you'll lose. So just hide. Just hide. That's what these games teach us. Don't fend for yourself, just hide. Hide in a mask. Hide behind your tablet. Hide behind technology. That's what all you commenters do anyways, right? 8 out of 9, Ennard. Ennard is the true main antagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, composed of the endoskeletons of the sister location animatronics, and makes a return in Ultimate Custom Night. Ennard is one of the many Funtime animatronics and is a human-like animatronic with like a weird wire endoskeleton body. He has a white mask, a red nose, red eyebrows, and a green-yellow colored party top hat, and his body consists of wires with an endoskeleton, but it also has like a red button and multiple eyes all over it, representing the different Funtime animatronics. And in Ultimate Custom Night, Ennard climbs in the vent system, but unlike other animatronics in the vents, he is difficult to track, appearing only briefly here and there while moving. He can't really be seen in the vent opening, but gives himself away by making a squeaking sound before attacking. You gotta close the vent door to send him on his way. Aside from being just one of the creepiest animatronics design-wise, this dude is just a whole load of worrying crawling around through the vents. So yeah, this man is getting on the list 100%. In at 8, Music Man! Music Man is a buyable animatronic from FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator and returns as an antagonist in Ultimate Custom Night. Music Man is kind of bipedal, although bipedal means you walk on 2 legs. This man eventually ends up having 4. I don't know if this version has 4, but he's white with pink accents on his eyelids, lips, nose, stomach, and has some purple accents around several areas. He represents a humanoid entity with spider-like legs blotched with purple coloring. His eyes are completely black with white pupils, similar to Freddy, and he has a black top hat guided with a white stripe, because of course, why do so many of these animatronics have top hats? His stomach contains a speaker with 2 separated speakers similar to the Funtimes. His symbol is yellow and has gray handles, but his properties are pretty damn special, okay? See, Music Man is sound activated, so with too much noise going on in the office, it will make him start crashing his cymbals. The player must then stop making noise or he'll crash the cymbals faster and faster, and eventually he'll jump scare you. And honestly, this is one of the most terrifying things in the game because the volume of the game itself is something that we can control, like through our computer, but the noise that the game makes isn't something that we have any say over. So you, in part, just need to hope that you're lucky, and then deal with the noise threats as they pop up. And at 7, Nightmare Chica. Nightmare Chica isn't a selectable character in Ultimate Custom Night, but is rather a secret character in the game that is spawned in by Dee Dee. Nightmare Chica's jaws will appear on the screen when she's spawned in. The player needs to turn on the power or AC to prevent her mouth from closing and never appear again. That's absolutely terrifying! Okay, just slowly watching the jaws of death surround your face after just randomly being summoned is absolutely shocking. Like, how do you react to that? You don't even need to see the animatronic for this to be absolutely terrifying, and that's saying something. Like you're just chilling there, and all of a sudden, this little pops up, she's like, how unfortunate, and then boom, you got the jaws of sudden death surrounding your mall. Like, why did you have to do this to Mommy Chica, okay? In nightmare form nonetheless. At least put me in Toy Chica's mouth, damn it. And at 6, Jacko Chica. Jacko Chica is an antagonist exclusive to the Halloween Update DLC for Five Nights at Freddy's 4, replacing Nightmare Chica, but she returns as an antagonist in Ultimate Custom Night. Jacko Chica is a Halloween-themed version of her original counterpart Nightmare Chica, and is a distorted, nightmarish version of Chica with several sharp teeth and wires sticking out from the torn parts of her body. Unlike her original counterpart though, she lacks eyes and an endoskeleton head, instead having a bright orange light in her eye sockets and torso, and an orange tint to fit with the Halloween theme. She also carries around a jack-o'-lantern instead of her iconic cupcake. When the office heats up to 90 degrees, Jacko Chica will appear in both halls at the same time. Once she is fully materialized, she will then jump scare the player, ending the game. The only way to stop her is by closing the left and right doors at the same time to make her vanish, but this will not work if the office reaches 100 degrees or more. Damn, now we gotta deal with heat too? Jesus. How about doing at number 5, XOR? XOR is a special variation of DD in Ultimate Custom Night that replaces DD when playing 50-20 mode and, on very rare occasions, during normal gameplay. XOR, also known as Shadow DD, resembles the Shadow animatronics that appear in FNAF 2 and 3 and has a name that's kinda similar to the animatronic known by most fans as Shadow Bonnie. It is unknown if it is intentional or by coincidence, but while XOR cannot attack the player, she can appear in the office, rapidly sliding left and right while singing a distorted version of DD's song that's actually also in reverse. This is followed by a guitar riff signaling that if playing 50-20 mode, she has added all of the 6 secret characters that are not available in the selection screen. Okay, RWQFFASXC, which is Shadow Bonnie, Plush Trap, Nightmare Chica, Bonnet, Mini Renas, and Lulbit. If she appears during normal gameplay, she will either add a new character with a randomized setting from 1 to 20, or only one of the secret characters. Luckily. And for Helpy. Helpy is a small plastic figure from Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. He is also a returning character as an opponent in Ultimate Custom Night. Helpy is a mini version of Funtime Freddy from Sister Location. He has a white body with purple accents, pink cheeks, the ones on his face, get your head out of the gutter, a small black top hat, short black eyebrows, and he has eyes that have purple eyelids and blue pupils. Against his original counterpart, he has 2 circular hands, 4 fingers, and has no toes and no faceplates. Helpy also seems to be pretty fragile, since every time the player fails in a minigame, he ends up breaking his neck. R.I.P. Helpy. When Helpy appears in the office in Ultimate Custom Night, the player needs to click on him quickly, or he'll end up getting too close with an air horn, agitating sound-sensitive animatronics like Music Man up at the top. He also increases by 1 fast coin every time the player clicks on him. And at 3, Nightmare. Nightmare is the antagonist exclusive to the Halloween DLC for FNAF 4 and is a returning character in Ultimate Custom Night. Nightmare is a human-like animatronic that has a white mask with black tears, black lipstick, white dots for eyes, and has a row of teeth on the top and 6 teeth at the bottom. His body is black and is designed to look like a skeleton. He also has a large chest with ribs protruding from the sides like a little weirdo like me, okay? You can see my ribs under here. Slender body, skeletal legs, and arms with claws protruding at the end, and with white stripes at the end of his fingers. During the night, Nightmare will appear if the mouse cursor lingers over him, and once that starts happening, the player must avoid the area where he is. Taking too long to do so will cause Nightmare to fully reappear and jump scare you, so don't do it. But ultimately, in at number 2, a surprise guest, Mr. Hippo. Mr. Hippo is a viable animatronic from FNAF 6 and returns as an antagonist in Ultimate Custom Night. Mr. Hippo climbs through the duct system trying to reach one of the 2 hoses in the office. The player needs to use the audio lure to keep him in place, or they can use the heater to push him back. He is fooled 100% of the time by the audio lure and faster than Happy Frog. However, most of the scare factor doesn't come from their behavior, okay, or their design, but this time around, rather, Mr. Hippo's death lines. You see, Mr. Hippo has a knack for going on about things a lot, going on tangents, kind of like me, honestly. But he goes into like 5-minute long speeches that you have to deal with every time he kills you, meaning that if you get jump scared, you're boned for enough time to make a sandwich, which is annoying as hell. Get scared by him enough and eventually you'll end up being terrified of him because you know what comes after the smoke of the jump scare clears. And finally, in at number 1, Nightmare. Nightmare is the main antagonist of FNAF 4 who returns in Ultimate Custom Night. Nightmare is a bipedal black nightmare bear animatronic. His face features contain scratches and distorts all over. His muzzle and jaw contains white sharp teeth with blood stains in the corner near his black gums, and another set of teeth inside his mouth. The dude is like a demented, like one of those chickens that are like fully black including their organs. He's like one of those, but an animatronic bear. His eyes contain black eyelids, red irises, and he has a shiny yellow hat, because of course he does, he's a version of Freddy. His body features contain a lighter accent on his large stomach, and he has a shiny yellow bow tie and another set of teeth crossing over his stomach. This dude has so many teeth. Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare are actually a tag team duo in Ultimate Custom Night, invisible to the cameras, and they can only be seen when they reach your doorway. Wonderful. Fredbear will take the left, Nightmare will take the right. And even then, only their eyes are visible, okay? When you see this, you gotta close the doors on their faces to send them back into the depths of hell from whence they came.